Hello, everybody. My name is Joel Filderman, and welcome to the Dog Trainers Connection. I'm not a dog trainer, but the people you see here are. Together, we get together to discuss a topic, and we come up with some ideas, and sometimes come up with some solutions and some answers. Today, we're going to be discussing, in particular, a bill that is in the New Jersey State Legislature called the Dog Trainer Licensing Act. For those who want to look it up, it is NJA 4066. It would create a board of examiners with dog trainers as well as licensed vets on it. It would give certain eligibility for being a dog trainer in the state, and would set parameters for the guidelines for how much experience you would have to be a licensed dog trainer. And joining us today is a dog trainer who is training dogs in New Jersey, and that is Babette Haggerty, and her business is Haggerty Dog Training out of Midland Park, New Jersey. And I can get into some of the specifics about the bill, but we'll have a link underneath this video for those who want to read it all. But Babette, let me start with you. What do you think about licensing trainers in the state of New Jersey?
I think it's ridiculous. I think we have better things to do with our tax dollars. I've read what the requirements are.
The requirements are really interesting. One of my favorites is that you have to be of good moral character.
Oh, yeah. That's our politicians telling us we have to have good moral character.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to mention that one, but because it was so obvious, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one is that you have to have a high school diploma or a GED. I'm like, okay, well, and I'm sure you know that there are trainers out there who don't have that.
You know what? I do know some very successful dog trainers who never finished high school, and thank God for dog training for them.
Mm-hmm.
Reading, the 300 hours, I know I'm probably going to upset people, but I feel like that's an insult. My kids could probably document 300 hours, and they're 13 and 17.
Not only that, part of those 300 hours, 75 of them, or up to 75 of them, can be as a dog groomer.
Oh, I missed that, but that's even more.
And that's nothing against dog groomers, but aren't we talking about dog trainers here?
Right, exactly. It's a completely different occupation. It's like me, telling the veterinarian how to do their job. So, another thing too, I was reading the breakdown on these 9 members. 2 shall be public members to represent the interests of the public, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry I know that meets my owners seem to be experts on dog training, and we all know, oh, well, my neighbor said, well, yeah, your neighbor had a dog 20 years ago.
Yep.
And they know what? Then there is also 3, where is it?
3 licensed dog trainers that are be licensed by this act?
Yes. And then what do we have? The 3 members, the 3 licensed dog trainers, the 2 veterinarians, and a member affiliated with an animal protection group. Don't even get me started on animal protection groups. We have welfare laws out there that protect the dogs. We have Google reviews. So, there's plenty of ways people can find out if they're hiring a good dog trainer or not. That's the free market society at work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also going to, as a business owner, how much is this going to cost me that I now have to add that fee onto my customers, because now I have to cover the certification costs for each of my employees? Dog trainers work really hard, and we're underpaid as far as I'm concerned, and we're keeping dogs out of shelters, which save our taxpayers money. Now they want to tax us more? New Jersey's already the most taxed state in the country. Like, give us a break, please. I can go on, but I don't want to usurp the whole time. And I'm here singing.
Well, I think that's a good place to ask Jeff, because Jeff, you used to live in New Jersey. Not necessarily about usurping the whole time, Jeff, but
and unlike Babette, I may hog a little bit of time here. So I just did some notes. The bill is only 6 pages long. Steve mentioned the assembly version. There's also a Senate version out there from Senator Cruz Perez. She's the Senate sponsor of the bill. So first and foremost, I just want to qualify briefly that I used to live in New Jersey. I was a dog trainer in New Jersey since, the mid-90s. Mm-hmm. One of my first certifications was through the Certification Council for Pet Dog Trainers, who is the singular organization that's going to be partnering with the government on this. And so I just want to qualify those two things. So anything that I might offer here, I don't want it to seem like I'm bashing one or the other, because it honestly, whether this thing is passed or not, it affects me this much. I have absolutely this does not affect me or my ability to conduct my business at all. So,
but it could, Jeff, because this would be the first state that would pass a state legislation of this.
Right. Well, I just wanted to qualify that. I don't support it, by the way, but I just wanted to say that, I shouldn't say that. I would support a bill like this if there was no impact to the taxpayer. Because the fact of the matter is most of the dog training curriculum out there nowadays are pretty consistent with each other, and most dog trainers should be able to pass a baseline test. I get that part of it. Again, I'm not saying one way or the other whether what the curriculum should be, but as it pertains to this bill, I'm just going to jump right in because we're here to talk about the bill. And the bill as it's written now, and granted it's in the first stages in the legislature, it's just been presented. There's an assembly version, a Senate version. All three sponsors of the bill are Democrats, and this isn't a political thing, but if this bill was truly about animals, I would like to see some bipartisan support, and I don't. So that's a problem with the bill. According to the origin of the bill, according to Politico, Assemblywoman Murphy said the idea for the bill, and I'm reading verbatim, the idea for the bill came from a constituent who is a dog trainer and witnessed other trainers using controversial methods that focus on punishment. So again, she had a friend who said that this is a problem, and then the bill came to fruition. There's also verbiage and support by the Association of Pet Dog Trainers, who once upon a time, APDT and CCPDT were the same, right? Until CCPDT branched off in late 2001, and then they created their own organization based out of Utah. So they're pushing more towards a certain type of dog training. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. The bill, if it's meant to support, the welfare of animals, Babette mentioned it. We already have animal cruelty laws that would protect animals from a lot of what is being suggested here. So, that's the other thing. And again, I'm just going to go through real quick. Dog training in this act is not defined. They are not defining what, and again, I know this is a draft. I understand the legislative process takes time. We're here to talk about this bill. Dog training needs to be defined, and it is not. It suggests dog training means the handling or training of dogs. So based on their definition, that would be included, but not limited to dog walkers, animal control officers, pet sitters, shelter or rescue staff, canine evaluators. Those are some of the people that, based on the definitions here, would be required to I guess, engage in this. There's the members of, who is going to be on the board. Obviously, Babette mentioned the breakdown. Why isn't there any animal control on the board? I'm not saying, and again, I'm not really crazy about this bill to begin with, but as it's written, how could you not have animal control or animal cruelty represented in this act? So that's a problem. What's the cost, right? And I know this is how the legislative process works. First they do the bill, then they sign it, then they come up with the cost, and then they whack us. That's what they do, right? It's, the Garden State. It should be called the redundancy state, because New Jersey is notorious for coming up with new bills that already exist in some form or fashion to accomplish the goal in which the new bill was supposed to address. But anyway, I digress. Where's the money coming from? They're talking about salaries and stuff. You know, I'm sorry. If this happens, this should be 100% voluntary. 100% voluntary. Because remember, the purpose of this is the welfare of the animals. That's all they care about. So if that's all you care about, volunteer. Okay? Yeah, you have to be at least 18 years of age. I don't know if you can see it on there, but I wrote bullshit, right? Okay? I mean,
tell us how you feel, Jeff.
You know, Steve, it's complicated, right? Okay, I know more 16-year-olds and even 12-year-olds. I've walked into homes. They're better handlers and they're better equipped to work with the family dog than the parents. Okay, so that's the other thing. And you know, the good moral character. Babette hit it right on the head. What I have a problem with, again, as it pertains to this bill as it's written, how do you not have a criminal background check if you're worried about animal welfare? Okay. GED and all that stuff. I mean, you know, there might be some discrimination there. You can't limit who can be a dog trainer, who can't be, if they can pass this test, right? You know, the hours and all that stuff, you know, we could talk about that till we're blue in the face. The board, again, you know, there's not a single board member on the CCPDT who's from New Jersey, which could change because their board members fluctuate, so that's fine. And again, I have no problem with them or the Association of Pet Dog Trainers. I mean, you know, they're great organizations, whatever. You know, but there should be some influence to someone who has a vested interest in New Jersey. I mean, the primary organization, the CCPDT, what are they contributing to New Jersey? And I'm not saying they aren't. I just don't know what they are, right? They're based out of Utah. So, and why only the CCPDT? Why not IACP? International Association of Canine Professionals is an awesome organization. Granted, they're not cheddar cheese flavored walking squeaky toys, but they're still a great organization, right?
And their text is much better too, I might add.
But you know, if you want a comprehensive, balanced bill, you can't just rely on one organization who is only going to push their agenda. That doesn't make sense. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. So there should be a little more balance in that regard. Why 3 years? Medical doctors have to recertify every 2 years. I hate to break the news to dog trainers out there who influence this, okay? But we're dog trainers, okay? I hate to burst your bubble. We're not doctors, right? Yes, you know, we love what we do and you know, we pretty much are living our dream, you know, but you renew a driver's license every 5 to 7 years, right? I mean, so anyway, and again, it all goes down to cost, right? Because all these things in here just adds more cost to us, which in turn is going to add more cost to our clients. You know, and then the CEUs, you know, you know, the continuing education units, I get it, right? They want us to keep our skills sharp. Well, that's our responsibility. If we want to be good and continue to be good at what we do, we're going to do that anyway, right? So what they're doing is now they're adding this as part of the bill. So now we have to go to Association of Pet Dog Trainers or whoever and spend more money on these isolated organizations that were cherry picked to be part of this bill. And again, I'm not saying they're bad, but again, you got to have more balance here. It's just not right. Again, 18 years old, another bullshit comment of mine. What else? Twice a year. You know, twice a year, that's great. You offer it twice a year. Look, it's 2018. We're going on 2019. You want to do this and you care about animals and you care about having a foundation knowledge base for dog trainers, twice a year, that's fine. You want to do twice a year, great. Make it online and make it free. Okay? And I'll take the test right now. I don't care. You know, I mean, I have more here. Now I'm kind of hogging the time. But New Jersey is surrounded by multiple states, and I know tons of dog trainers who cross state lines. If I still go up to Jersey and train. So what do you do for out-of-state dog trainers? So that's it. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Well, Steve, that's a good place to ask you that. You're from New York State. You're not from New Jersey. So what do you think about this bill?
I think if somebody in, let's say, Bergen County, New Jersey, didn't want to like get involved in this whole thing, they would hire somebody from New York to come. What would then be the case? Right? You can actually threaten the livelihood of New Jersey dog trainers by doing this to them, because what's to stop people? If you live in South Jersey, you go to Philly, right? You'll get somebody from Philly, and that's it. You just go right past this nonsense, but that's hurtful to the New Jersey dog trainers. I'm sure that there's no thought of any of that, but they should start thinking, and the whole thing's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Look, I got a big problem with the test and the pitch. I mean, I got trouble with that, because they're deciding what's okay to do and not to do when they have no idea what's okay and what's right. They don't know. They have their concept of, and I mean, it's not like I'm not a science guy, but, I'm sick of hearing science-based dog training. I'm tired of it already. It's like, okay, we know the science, but, sometimes it's the skill set. So I started looking at these tests that they have. If the highest level test includes something that says knowledge and skills assessed,
Mm-hmm.
how do they assess the skills? Well, you got to send in 3 videos of you training 3 separate sort of dogs, not your own, for a client. So that means a guy like me could like get a camera, train a puppy and a client, sit down, this, that, the other thing, go to the next one, film it, then the next one and film it, and send that in. And that's going to show them that I have this skill set. But, that's different than getting some wily 19-month-old male lab on the end of a leash. That, that's his own idea. You know what I mean? And so just because the videos you set up to send, they don't tell you what to train or anything like that. They just want to see the videos. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. That doesn't say anything about your skill set, but then you're going to get the initials. And somewhere in all this nonsense, I see that they talk to you about how to market your certification. Market your certification. Like that paper says that you are all that, because you got to. But it's like when people say, "Can you give me a reference? I want to call somebody." And I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Uh-huh." And I'm like, "I'm not giving you phone numbers." And they're like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Because I wouldn't give your phone number to anybody. And by the way, if I was going to give out phone numbers, I give out the numbers of the people who I know like me, not the people who don't. It's ridiculous to ask me for that. That's not the way you're supposed to go about this." And they hang up, but that's okay. You got to lose some of them. You just get rid of them. I might be grumpy or something, but enough is enough. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing is driving me nuts. You got to be this, you got to be that, and we're going to get these veterinarians. I know veterinarians that are still like rolling dogs over on their back in the exam room and muscling the shit out of them in the room because they want to make sure next time they come back, they're not going to mess around. Of course, next time they come back and the dog's got their dukes up like this, it's like, all right, round 2, So you got, but I'm sure the people they're talking about have that fear-proof thing in mind. But then what about those veterinarians? Or what about the PhD level behavior people that I know that use remote collar? They're smart. Well, I think they're well respected, but they use remote collars. I have a feeling that you start messing around with all this, and they're going to start telling us what tools we're allowed to use or not. Everything's got to be with a harness on. I mean, really, I just had my 45th anniversary on LinkedIn. 45 years, Babette. 45 years. Holy.
You're getting old.
Oh my God! It just happened behind my back. My face, stuff started to happen. But listen, I listen to everything. I read as much as I can. It's like Jeff said, we're in the kind of business where we're sort of motivated, we're self-motivated to keep up with what's going on and what people are saying and the research. We all do that because we love this stuff. They don't need to tell us how to do it, who listen to. Vet techs and veterinarians, for the CEUs, they're free every month. You don't cost anything. You get your piece of paper, they're state certified race credit by the state. you get these credits. You know, this is like real credits. We don't have to pay for lectures. They're free, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. And who gives the credits here? It's not a state thing. It's given by that organization in Utah. I'm sure Utah's a very nice place, probably flat. But, you know, otherwise, probably a nice spot. But, I mean, come on. If you're going to do this thing, if it's Jersey, give them state. If you're going to make them do it, free education, give them state credits. Not this nonsense. Your credits, your lectures, like Jeff says, you got to pay them for their stuff, listen to their rhetoric, whether you like it or not. They're going to choose how you can train. I mean, I got trouble here. I got real trouble here. You know, nobody's asking me except for you guys. But I mean, I like to go someplace and get in somebody's face. I'm like, really? Really? I mean, I got some dogs for you. As the Captain Haggerty would say, I've got some dogs I'd like to give a leash. Yeah, let me hand you a leash. See how well you do. So come on.
You know, I just wanted to chime in here. Jeff had said that Democrats introduced the bill, which I noticed too when I read about it. And then I looked up opposition to the bill, and there's a New Jersey chapter of Americans for Prosperity, which is an organization founded by the Koch brothers. It's a conservative group, and they are absolutely against it. They want to bury the bill, according to what I read, because they want not regulation in business, but less regulation. So it got me thinking that maybe this whole thing is about Petco, Petsmart, the big corporations who, when a dog dies in their care, grooming, kenneling, whatever, there's a lot of publicity about it. Maybe this whole thing is just about the corporations reacting to it. I don't know how it came about that the Democrats are in on, but to me, this whole thing seems like a political thing. And like Jeff said, it's not bipartisan. You know, money for somebody, or to push forth their philosophy of the purely positive, and then pushback from conservative groups like the one I mentioned in New Jersey that might be, because it would be bad for Petco and PetSmart if dog trainers had to be licensed. I'm just throwing that out there because I found that interesting.
It is.
That you know, what is really behind this and the motivating purpose of this. And I guess everybody said it. It's money for somebody.
I know.
So I wonder how easy it would be for PetSmart or Petco to kind of fly under the radar on this, because they're based in Arizona. They could argue, well, it doesn't apply to our trainers. We give them their own training thing. And, you know, those corporations, there's a Petco right down the street from us. They are located right across from the town hall. They were not approved to have training classes in their location. And guess what? They run training classes in their location across from the town hall that zoned them, saying you cannot conduct training classes here. Now, of course, I'm not ratting them out because I don't really give a rip. But, I mean, these big corporations, that could hurt the smaller people like me and Steve that, you know, we don't have the big expensive attorneys or the fancy out-of-state address that we can say, hey, it doesn't apply to us.
Very true. Wow.
But Bet, do they get away with it, I'm assuming, because they basically say it's our place, we can do what we want?
I guess. I mean, all I know is that location had opened up right after I opened up my place. And I was in there and asking them about the pet store that was opening up. I didn't know what it was. And I remember the clerk there, she said to me, oh, no, we had their meeting, and they were specifically denied training. I was like, oh, okay. But they've got dog training signs up. And, you know, if nobody is complaining about it, the town council's not going to hassle them about it.
Nobody, you know? Squeaky wheel or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So no one's complaining about it. So they'll keep on doing it. And probably the manager they have in that store now. I mean, I'm sure whoever showed up at their town council meeting to get them approved was probably their attorney, who probably lives in Philadelphia,
Sure.
or New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was the way it was, and it gets lost in the corporate ladder, and, so it goes.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then I think.
Oops. We lost you, Babette.
Well, just to
New Jersey. How's that going to
we lost you for a minute there, Babette. So.
Oh, sorry. I think Jeff brought up a great point about trainers crossing lines. My manager lives upstate New York. She trains here in New Jersey.
Mm.
Well, you know what, Mr. New Jersey, Governor Murphy, you know what, she doesn't have to be certified. She lives in New York. There's so many ways you could find loopholes in it, but I still think it's ridiculous for all the previously mentioned reasons.
Wow.
But,
And I don't know if I'm wrong, but I was thinking, licensing groomers I think there's a big difference in the scope of dog training and being able to successfully train dogs and to understand behavior, et cetera, than there is in grooming. Now, I might get some backlash saying that.
I would agree with you. Look at the things that have been on the news. Was it Petco or Petsmart that was in the news? They had wasn't just one or two cases. It was several cases where.
A lot of them.
Where they actually did some harm to the dog. And actually one or two cases, the dog died.
Mm.
So, it's it's crazy.
You're talking about grooming, right, David?
I'm sorry, grooming, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to play devil's advocate here. And granted, I don't know the details. I know that there were several deaths at Petco. But, if you think about it on a large scale, it's a numbers game. A dog eventually is going to have a heart attack. You groom, I don't know how many dogs Petco as a chain grooms a month, but let's say they're grooming 35,000 dogs a month, which is probably not an unreasonable number. A dog's going to have a heart attack one day. It doesn't mean that the groomer screwed up. Like I said, I'm just playing devil's advocate. It is a numbers game. And,
No, you actually make a valid point because it's totally different, but it relates to what you're saying. You hear car crashes all the time, but they may not make it the news, maybe the local news.
Sure.
You hear a plane go down, a big plane go down, it makes not just national news, maybe world news for that matter.
Right.
So it's just a totally different animal, no pun intended.
So do people think that this is an overreaction to what's going on out there with these dogs in different places? I know that the bill basically came from somebody had a dog at a dog training facility and the dog was attacked, or I can't recall exactly what it was off the top of my head. And they spoke to the legislature and that's where it came from. So do you think that this is an overreaction, or do you think that this is just a general consensus of what's out there?
I think this is a very, very, very small step to a greater monopoly. That's what I think. And to Steve's point, we start here. Where does it end, right? Handling tools, okay? And again, according to Politico, I'm going to read you the Association of Pet Dog Trainers position, quote, trainers be schooled in what's known as least intrusive, minimally aversive method, which emphasizes positive reinforcement over punishment. Now we're all familiar with Lima. That's basically harness and cheddar cheese, nothing else, right? And now, it poses a problem in New Jersey for pet store owners, right? Because if this escalates to something where tools started getting involved, right, then they're losing revenue. The state loses tax revenue. We can go there. But I look at it more towards the care and handling of animals. And obviously, here's my rescue hat again, right? When we are transporting dogs, the first thing I tell them, do not put a harness on that dog, okay? The last thing I want on a dog coming in and out of cars is a harness that they could slip out of. I tell them to use a slip lead with a locking mechanism or a halter, not a halter, sorry, a limited slip collar or a martingale. So a dog can't slip out of its collar. Those tools, according to Lima, right, are not appropriate because it causes problems around the neck, but whatever.
But Jeff, the Lima thing, there are trainers that say that, but they don't necessarily only use harnesses and cheese. So I think there's a whole lot of, variation in that theme among dog trainers as well.
Yeah, and I mean, if any trainer I know, regardless of where they wind up on the spectrum, like the people I know, they do things that are the least intrusive and the most minimally evasive. That doesn't mean that they don't implement other protocols. It doesn't mean they're not operant condition trainers, right? Right. But again, you can't say, because I don't believe there's a one size fits all personally. That's my belief, right? Maybe it's my experience. I don't know. I would be concerned with this bill that it's one step towards a greater monopoly.
I would tend to agree with that.
I
Just
agree with that too.
From what I've read. And I think that that's a good place to stop. Unfortunately, I don't think we've come with any answers per se for today, but I think we definitely had a very interesting discussion. And I would like to recommend that anybody who's out there in any part of the dog training field, take a look at this bill and come up with your own opinions. So I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank all you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.